evening air hung thick with the scent of pine and the electric hum of a storm brewing beyond the woods, pressing against the windows of Grace's sprawling suburban home. At 35, she was a breathtaking blonde, her hair a cascade of gold spilling over her shoulders, her blue eyes glinting with a restless fire that her marriage to Miles couldn't quite quench. He stood at the sink, rinsing a glass, her reflection a ghostly shimmer in the darkening glass, her slim figure wrapped in a cream coat that clung to her curves. Miles, broad and oblivious, sprawled in the living room, thumbing his phone, his dark hair tousled. Their neighbors, Oliver and Linda, had invited them for poker, a rare spark in their quiet cul-de-sac life, and Grace felt a thrill ripple through her, a whisper of something wild stirring beneath her polished surface. And came the knock, sharp, unheralded, and Miles's father, George, strode in, his weathered face creased with a grin, suitcase thudding to the floor. "Surprise visit," he said, his voice gravelly, and Grace's pulse quickened, the night tilting into a shadowed unknown. "Hey, if that's already got your blood pumping, smash that like button and subscribe. This is about to ignite, and you won't want to miss a single scorching second." Miles groaned but waved it off, clapping George on the shoulder. "Guess you're tagging along, Dad." Grace forced a smile, her fingers brushing her hair back as she grabbed her coat, the fabric soft against her skin. The trio crossed the lawn to Oliver and Linda's modern two-story, its windows glowing amber, just drifting through the air like a sultry promise. Oliver, lean and dark-haired, met them with a bourbon bottle dangling from his hand, his grin edged with mischief. Linda, a curvy brunette, ushered them in, her silk blouse shimmering, her laugh a velvet caress. The living room was a den of luxury, plush rugs, leather chairs, a poker table at its heart, green felt gleaming under a chandelier's soft sway. George sank into a seat, his silver hair catching the light, chuckling at the unexpected company. Cards snapped against the table, chips clattered, and bourbon poured freely, liquid fire sloshing into glasses as the room loosened, voices rising in a tipsy chorus. Grace sipped hers, the burn sliding down her throat, her eyes flicking from Miles's sloppy grin to Oliver's lingering stares, his gaze tracing her like a touch. Linda leaned in, her jasmine perfume intoxicating, her breath warm against Grace's ear. "You're too gorgeous to just watch," she murmured, her fingers grazing Grace's wrist, sending a shiver up her spine. The air crackled, heavy with unspoken intent, and Oliver slammed his cards down, his voice cutting through the haze. "Poker's tame, let's heat it up. Strip poker. Loser shed something." Grace's breath snagged, a jolt of shock and desire surging through her. Miles laughed, too drunk to hesitate, pounding the table. "Fuck yeah, let's do it." George's eyes widened, then narrowed with a sly grin. "Count me in. Let's see who blinks first." First hand flew by, Grace's flush trumped Linda's pair, and Linda peeled off her blouse with a sultry pout, her black lace bra hugging her full breasts, nipples faintly visible through the fabric. Grace's heart thudded, her cheeks burning as George's glance flicked over her quick, but loaded. Next, Miles lost, yanking off his shirt with a drunken cheer, his chest flushed and hairy, tossing it into a heap. The game spiraled, Oliver's belt hit the floor with a clank. Linda's skirt slithered down her thighs. George's socks landed in a pile, until Grace lost, her fingers trembling as she unzipped her coat, letting it drop to reveal a tight white tank top, her breasts pressing against the thin cotton, bra straps peeking out. The room hushed, all eyes on her, a primal weight that made her skin tingle. Again, Linda purred, shuffling with a smirk, her bra strap slipping, teasing the curve of her shoulder. Grace nodded, her voice gone, the bourbon unraveling her restraint. She lost maybe on purpose, and stood, her hands shaking as she gripped the hem of her tank top, pulling it over her head in a slow, deliberate arc. Her bra, pale blue and sheer, clung to her, lace barely hiding her hardened nipples, her skin prickling under the scrutiny. Miles whooped, slurring, "Hot damn." But Oliver's jaw clenched, his eyes dark with want, and George shifted, his throat working as he swallowed hard. Linda's tongue darted over her lips, dealing again, and the game turned savage. Oliver shed his shirt, muscles rippling. George lost his undershirt, his chest taut for his years. Miles dropped his pants, boxers bulging, laughing like a fool. Linda raised the stakes, her voice a husky drawl. New rule: winner picks who strips next, and how they do it. Grace's stomach lurched, a cocktail of dread and lust tightening her core. Oliver won, his gaze pinning her. Grace, jeans off, real slow. Her breath stuttered, her fingers fumbling at the button, the denim peeling down her legs inch by agonizing inch, revealing blue panties that hugged her hips, a damp patch betraying her arousal. She stepped free, legs quaking, the room's silence roaring in her ears, every stare a hot iron on her flesh. Miles grinned, mumbling, "That's my wife." But George's look was raw, conflicted, and Linda's fingers twitched, aching to cross the line. Linda won next, her tone dripping with intent. "Grace and Oliver kiss right here, make it deep." Grace froze, her pulse a drumbeat, but Oliver was on her in a heartbeat, his hands framing her face, his mouth crashing into hers, hot, wet, a clash of bourbon and raw need. She moaned into it, her nails digging into his bare shoulders, her body arching as his tongue claimed her, a shiver of pure want rocking her. Miles clapped, too wasted to care, but George's chair groaned, his fists clenched. The kiss broke, Grace's lips bruised, her eyes darting to Linda, who smirked and dealt again, her own breath uneven. Oliver won, his command a growl. "Grace on my lap, Linda, join us, touch her." Grace's legs wobbled as she obeyed, straddling Oliver's thighs, his erection pressing through his boxers against her core. His hands slid up her back, unhooking her bra with a snap, letting it fall to bare her breasts, full, flushed, nipples tight in the cool air. Linda climbed onto his other leg, her fingers trailing Grace's collarbone, then dipping lower, circling her nipples with a teasing flick that drew a sharp whimper. Oliver's hands gripped Grace's hips, grinding her against him, while Linda's lips brushed her neck, sucking lightly, leaving a faint mark. Miles watched, his grin faltering into something hazy, hungry. George leaned closer, his breath ragged, eyes locked on the scene. The cards fell again. George won, his voice rough as sandpaper. Grace touched Linda everywhere. Her hand shook as she reached out, sliding over Linda's waist, under her bra, cupping her breast, the soft weight and peaked nipple making her gasp. Linda arched, moaning low, pressing into Grace's touch, and Oliver growled, yanking Grace tighter, his fingers slipping under her panties, brushing her slick heat. She jolted, a cry escaping, her body caught in their web. Linda kissing Oliver, her tongue visible, Grace trapped between. George's chair scraping as he edged nearer, his control splintering. Linda won the next hand, her eyes blazing. All of us on the floor now. Chairs toppled, the table forgotten, bodies spilling onto the rug in a fevered rush. Grace was the nexus. Oliver tugged her panties down, exposing her fully, his fingers spreading her thighs as Linda knelt, her tongue flicking against Grace's inner thigh, then higher, tasting her with a slow, deliberate lick that made Grace buck and sob. Oliver pressed behind her, his boxers gone, his hardness sliding against her back, then lower, teasing her entrance. George loomed, his shirt shed, his hands trembling until Linda grabbed him, guiding his fingers to Grace's breast, a touch that seared with taboo, his groan deep and broken. Miles lurched forward, naked now, his hands groping Linda's hips, then Grace, his breath hot and erratic as he joined the tangle, his arousal brushing her skin. Room pulsed with heat, Grace's cries rose, sharp and unrestrained, as Linda's mouth worked her. Oliver's fingers plunged inside, stretching her, and George's hand kneaded her flesh, his other stroking himself through his pants, too far gone to stop. Miles thrust against Linda's thigh, grunting, his hands everywhere. The group a writhing mass of sweat and sin, skins slapping, breaths mingling, the chandelier swaying above like a metronome to their chaos. Grace's body shook, teetering on release, every nerve alight, her mind a storm of guilt and ecstasy, and a blaze of color. The patio doors burst open, a gust of wind hurling a flurry of crimson leaves across the room, the storm breaking through in a wild, vivid rush. Grace's eyes snapped open, her climax hovering, the leaves swirling around their tangled bodies, Oliver's smirk frozen, Linda's lips glistening, George's hands stilled, Miles's gaze wild. Was it nature's interruption, a neighbor's silhouette in the tempest, or something supernatural calling them deeper? The scene froze, vibrant and unresolved. Did they pull back, or let the storm sweep them into its heart?